Hi, I'm Ryan with the Kiln CrossFit. This is video number 1 of the running series that we're going to do on how to improve your running and just get better mechanics and form, right? So in the intro we kind of talked about how none of us really formally learned how to run, and how that first big mistake that we make is that there's a difference between sprinting mechanics and jogging mechanics, right? So generally, when we think about the two, when we jog, we're kind of going slow. We have an upright torso, right? And when we run, our foot either lands flat or we heel strike, right? Which is why we buy the running shoes, right? With the big fat cushion on the heel, so that we can run and heel strike and it not hurt our heel, right? We run and it hurts, so we get the fatter cushion on our shoe. Versus when we sprint and we think, okay, you sprint, you have high knees, and you do the A skip, right? Where you're knee up, toe up, and you sort of push your foot down and you strike the ground, creating force so that you go fast, right? And the harder you smack your foot down, the faster you go, right? So both of those things are incorrect. When we're running, Emerson again, he's having a good time in the gym with me. So when we run, we gotta really have a paradigm shift and just completely redo what we think about how we run, right? We don't use our muscles to create force against the ground to give us the propulsion that we need to move, right? What happens when we run? Running basically comes from falling, right? So if you start by getting up on your toes and then you start to lean forward, and as you lean forward, you get to that point where you have to put your foot out to catch yourself. That movement right there is how we initiate running and is how we continue to run, right? So in between jogging and sprinting, what's happening is we're leaning forward, and to prevent ourselves from slamming into the deck and just getting a mouthful of concrete, our leg comes up and we catch ourselves, right? So the mechanics is, instead of it being a push, the run is initiated by pulling our leg up and letting it fall underneath the center of gravity that we're creating by the forward lean, right? And the higher degree, well, the lower degree that lean is to the ground is where the higher speeds come from, right? And the longer that you can hold that lean in relationship to the ground, the faster that your run times will be, right? So a sprinter will come off the blocks, and the longer that he can hold that lean, he will be continuing to increase his speed, right? There will come a point where you will reach your top speed and you'll reach that maintain phase, right? That happens later, the longer that you can hold that lean, right? And of course, you're gonna get tired, right? So that lean you'll start to stand more upright, so you'll slow and you'll continue that holding phase, right? So a jog is really, you just have a slighter, a slighter lean, right? You're not leaning forward as much, so that when you pull your foot up, it's not traveling as far. But when you have a severe lean, you're the distance that your foot is traveling when you pull it up and drop it is longer, thereby you're going faster, right? So the keys to this, to tip number 1, right? Running is not about us creating force against the ground in order to create propulsion. It's we are leaning, we're falling, we're falling with style, essentially, right? So we're falling, and to prevent ourselves from getting hurt, we're picking our legs up, catching ourselves, and we're using the muscles, the musculature, and the mechanics of our body to translate that falling, the power of gravity, into a forward motion, right? Much like the engine of a car uses the pistons going up and down, right? And it's that transmission that moves, that changes that up and down force into rotational force, which then turns the tires and sends the car forward, right? So we're falling and we're catching ourselves with our legs, and that's creating the forward propulsion. So running is falling, and it's a lift with our legs, not a push. Those are the two biggest things to think about. On the 4th of July, I had been working on my mechanics for a while, and I did Murph on the 4th of July. Those 2 miles were the easiest 2 miles I have ever run, because my focus was on getting my body, the lean, and just lifting my legs up, right? I hate running. I had to do it for the Marine Corps. I don't like to do it. But those 2 miles for Murph were the easiest that I've ever done, only because I worked on my mechanics. And I know you can too. Stay tuned. We are going to work more on foot placement, where you should land your foot, footwear, mobility things we can do so that we become more mobile, so that we can get our legs up faster, and we will do videos on things that we can, exercises that will help strengthen us so that we will be more powerful in our pull, right? Catch you later. Go to thekilncrossfit.com, sign up for our newsletter, follow us on Facebook. You can stay up to date on all the things that we're doing, and you can be sure to catch the next video. Have a good one.